Hey, what's up guys, Tactiholics here, and we are out here today at the range to show you some recoil control techniques with a handgun. Sig P229. We got a few different types of handguns out here, a few different bore access heights. Some of them ride lower in your hands than others, but really what happened was I made a video, if you guys remember, a couple weeks ago, where I buried my Sig in a bunch of sand and gravel, and I brought it up and shot it. It was a really rough, kind of last-ditch video. You could really only see the back of the gun, but from that, some of your viewers could tell that the gun really wasn't recoiling much in my hand. If you watch our other videos when I shoot handguns, there's really not a lot of recoil there, which sparked some kind of interesting discussion on that video, as to one of our followers made a comment that he was told if you shoot a Sig in particular, because of that high bore access, you can't control the recoil that well. Now there's shooting a gun and there's driving the gun. Think about it like just kind of driving a car on a daily basis and navigating around at a smooth pace. And then if you look at a race car driver, they're controlling that car to the highest level that they can. They're driving the car for all its, for all the extents of physics and so forth. Kind of the same mentality with a gun. And today we're going to take a few different platforms. I'm going to show you the grip that I use and the techniques that I use to control recoil, and I'm also going to show you the wrong way of shooting a gun if you're trying to shoot fast, okay? Unfortunately, there's people out there that will do all kinds of, teacup philosophies or hang on a little bit too low behind the gun and tuck their thumbs in, and that gun really wants to move around in your hand. But if you're shooting slow, kind of marksmanship style shots, that really has a lot less effect than if you're trying to put rounds on top of rounds in a really quick fashion. So let's start off with the grip here with this gun, and I'll kind of show you how I do it on every gun as we go. It's the same on every gun, and I'll show you what that looks like. Starting off here with an empty chamber, no magazine. Go ahead and close the slide. All your semi-automatic guns are going to have a tang, this curved portion here, to some degree. This particular gun has an oversized beaver tail on the back, which I really like. The size of my hands, it really helps me drive that gun, but you don't necessarily have to have it. So what you want to do is take that area right there between your thumb and your pointer finger. It's a very strong portion of your hand. Get that driven nice and high up into the back of the gun. And if you actually look right there, my hand is kind of curving from the pressure. So when I grip a gun out of a holster, I pick it up off of a table, I get my two-handed grip on the gun. That's what I want it to look like right there. Okay, there's no space in there. And having no space in here, having a nice firm high grip with my fingers underneath the trigger guard is going to serve two purposes. It's going to reduce the felt recoil or the muzzle flip of the gun. So if I hang on low, this gun acts like a lever when the slide comes back. So when that slide comes back, you can see in my hand already, it wants to roll the gun. It's going to make it really hard to shoot fast strings of fire. Whereas if I choke up nice and high, there's no movement out of the frame whatsoever, which is ideal. The second, and possibly should I say the most primary reason we want a nice high grip, is we want to prevent malfunctions. This slide needs to come all the way back and all the way forward to successfully cycle the rounds. So not only will hanging on too low or too loose to the gun cause it to roll in your hand and make it harder to shoot at a faster pace, but you can also jam the gun because some of this energy that needs to move the slide actually gets transferred into rolling the gun. It can lead to stovepipes and other issues, failure to feeds, things like that. So, semi-automatic handgun, you get a nice firm high grip inside the gun just like that. Your fingers are tight to the bottom of the trigger guard and your hand is tucked up inside that tang. You obviously don't want to be over anything, over the beaver tail, over the tang of the gun, to the point where you get bit by the slide or you impede the slide's function, but nice and high just like that. That's the first step to really driving the handgun out. So the second step is I have my primary hand established. Now I have some open grip space here on the left side of the gun as I'm a right-handed shooter. For left-handed shooters, it's going to be the inverse thing of what I'm doing now, but identical in every other way. So I take this open grip space here, I take the heel of my left palm. We want to cover all the area of this gun that we can. Take the heel of my left palm, I like to drop it just in front of my right palm heel. Okay, so there's contact right there. I don't want space right there on the grip. I don't want any space for that gun to twist around. So just in that pocket, I bring all four of these fingers tight underneath the trigger guard just like that. Okay, if we're down here a little bit low, or if we're underneath the gun, we're not providing any recoil stability or recoil control. The gun's going to flip right out of that hand. And also, if you're down here with your hand, you can actually be pulling the gun down. If you're driving the gun out with both arms, this left hand here, your support hand, can actually pull the gun down, which is also going to serve as an issue for you. So right inside that area, bring all 4 of these fingers tight underneath the trigger guard. Before we talk about the thumbs, I'm going to go ahead and show you. I like to index this pointer finger of my left hand just between my pointer finger and my middle finger of my right hand. That helps kind of lock my grip in. It keeps my hands from sliding down, my fingers from sliding down like that. At longer distances, doing this can potentially help you push the gun off to the left and serve as a problem for you. It doesn't serve as a problem for me. I've taken a lot of time to kind of tweak that and make sure that I'm getting a good amount of pressure, a good amount of lock, but without steering the gun in a way that I don't want to go. So nice and firm up underneath the trigger guard. We don't want to be up here in front of the trigger guard. That's a really easy way to push the gun in a direction you don't want or pull it down. This is not a real thing. This is kind of an antiquated philosophy back from, I think it was like the 80s or 90s, a tactical trigger guard grip. Look at how much open space we have now. I mean, that causes all types of issues here on the portion of the grip that we want to cover. So you lock your hands in just like that, just like this. If you have an issue going off to the left, this is how I'm going to roll. Coming back to the thumbs here, I insert that left hand, I bring my left fingers underneath the trigger guard. My thumbs are down the frame. You can see how they're just about lined up when my trigger finger's outside the trigger guard area. My thumb and my pointer finger should be just about even. You don't need to be rolling way out here. You don't want to be way back here, as that's fairly indicative that you're going to be pushing the gun too much or pulling the gun too much. So just something comfortable along the seam where the frame meets the slide. Not up over the slide, not down in front of the trigger area where I can't get my trigger finger in there smoothly. I like to point my thumbs down the frame because this is not only going to help with the recoil, even though I'm not pushing in on the gun with my thumbs, I'm not pushing down, but having my thumb out here helps control the recoil of the gun because I'm covering a lot of contact area. The gun takes the path of least resistance. If I have open space here, the gun's going to roll over to this open space, the path of least resistance. So curling your thumbs, you can see the difference there by the decocker here, how much open space there is. That gun's going to want to twist a little bit. So if I kind of clamp the gun just like that all the way around, now we're good. Second thing is, you've probably had this thumb on your hand for a long period of time. If I asked you, or if someone asked you to point your thumb at any given object in your environment, you could do that without even thinking about it. The hand wants to go where the eyes want to go. Think about driving this gun just like you'd throw a punch. You don't look at something you want to punch and then just miss it, because we have that ability to connect from the brain to the hand. So by pointing my thumbs down the frame of the gun at the target, when I extend out, I'm just pointing my thumb at the target. I'm pointing my hands almost as if I'm pointing a punch. So it really kind of helps steer the gun back towards the target, again at faster paces of fire where you're not relying on your sights whatsoever. Another really big thing that we're going to do is we're going to get our body weight behind the gun. So you'll see some people that say shoot with your shoulders in front of your hips. Absolutely, we want active shoulders. We want to physically get our weight behind this gun. This is a huge part to controlling that recoil at very fast strings of fire. Now, shoulders forward doesn't mean bending back at the hips and having my shoulders come forward from there. My shoulders are not in front of my hips at this point. I'm just doing some weird curving thing. So from a straight up and down position, I take my shoulders and I roll them forward. You can see that they're actually touching my ears. Okay, so driving like this with my shoulders activated and forward of my hips, it's going to put my body weight behind that gun. Again, it's going to help force the gun back to the target. If I stand straight up and down or with my shoulders back, which is a common thing for newer shooters, that little bit of recoil from the gun actually pushes you back on your heels a little bit, which is obviously slightly an issue if you're trying to shoot really fast. So we're going to go ahead and load up our guns here. We're going to start with the Sig 229. And we're going to show you a grip that you can get by with. I wouldn't say there's a marksmanship and a defensive shooting grip. Use the same thing every time, because a defensive shooting grip will work every time. If you look at competition shooters, their grip is almost identical to mine. But I'm going to show you a grip that you can use to get by for precision or marksmanship shooting. And then I'm going to show you the deficits that grip entails when you're trying to shoot at faster paces. Then we're going to switch over to the grip that works, and we're going to make it go. What I'm going to do is put 5 rounds in the gun. I'm going to take up a low, loose grip with my thumbs crossed, just like this. I want you guys to watch the recoil of the gun, watch the characteristics. I'm going to be shooting at a slow pace, then we're going to show you the target in the grouping that you can put out at slower pace. And then we're going to go ahead and shoot with that same grip, but I'm going to try to shoot fast, and we're going to show you the difference that happens when you start to introduce speed. So this is kind of casually picking up the gun. I'm up inside the tang area. There's no light coming through there, but I'm not driven up. If you could see my hand there, go ahead and bring the camera in. You know, there's a big difference between gripping the gun and really clamping that gun, and then there is with just kind of letting that beaver tail just make a little bit of contact there. I'm also going to tuck my thumbs and show you what happens. So here we go. Oh, and I'll be standing more or less straight up and down too, and I'll show you how the shoulders really come into play as well. So let's check it out. Good. A little bit of movement out of the gun, but let's take a look at the target here. We're probably about 12, 15 feet away, somewhere inside there. And, you know, nice sideways fist grouping right there. That's really not too bad. You know, if I shot a little bit slower, I could tighten that up, but you saw how much the gun was rolling around in my hand. Well, now let's see what happens when you turn up the heat a little bit with that same grip, same body position of being straight up and down. Quite a bit faster. Now take a look at the target. I think I kept all 5 rounds on here. Get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I mean, look at the difference. Okay. Now, if this was my target, I can shoot as fast as I can while keeping everything inside my designated target. It's the yes or no proposition of accuracy. But I could probably shoot a lot faster and hold everything a lot tighter if I grip the gun the right way. Let's get it out. Sig 229, appropriate body mechanics, appropriate grip on the gun. Let's make it scream. All right. Other than the fact that for some reason my finger gave up before I should have, the slashes here are the bad, or the marksmanship grip, we'll call it, at a slow pace, nice group. This is shooting at a fast pace, faster pace, with a looser grip on the gun, and then all these new fresh circles here, nice and tight. That's a nice center mass area, significantly faster than either one of these shot groups that I put out before. That's from getting your shoulders behind the gun, getting a good grip, rolling your shoulders forward, and getting your thumbs pointed down the frame towards the target. Nice, high, aggressive grip on the gun. Remember, we're driving the gun like a race car today, okay? The faster you drive, the more control you need to have over that gun, and the more authority you need to have over that gun. You're not just letting it recoil in your hand. This isn't shooting. This is making the gun do what you want to do. And obviously, your body mechanics come into play a lot more at faster paces. Let's go ahead and try some other platforms. Jumping platforms here, we're just going to show you guys the same grip mechanics, nice and high in the back of the gun. Okay, you can see again with the 320 that we have in hand, I have some room for that slide to travel over my hand. Obviously, if this is something like a Glock, or we're going to move to a little bit lower bore axis in a minute, you don't want to be that high because you're going to cut up this part of your hand. But same mechanics on the gun. Let's try it with about the same size bore, or the same height bore axis as the 229, but now we're on a striker fire platform, so let's make it burn. All right, Springfield XDm. We don't have a Glock available, but as far as the striker fired guns go that we have out here today, this has probably the smallest amount of an oversized tang or any type of beaver tail right there. So when I grip this gun, I'm coming, especially when I add in my support hand, you can see that seam right there by the slide in my hand. We're coming real close right there. So I'm still choking up as much as I can be, but I don't want to come over that grip. So personally for me, of the guns we have here today, this one's probably the hardest one for me to control just because of the size of my hand and how aggressive of a grip I've gotten used to coming into with that gun. So, 10 rounds, same thing guys. We're having a lot of fun by the way. Really hope you're enjoying the video, hope it's making sense. Thanks for letting us put our white lab coats on. Yippee-ki-yay. Alright, what I did off camera is I went and marked the Sig 320 shots. So all these fresh circles right there, up through here, this is all the XDM. Again, we got a hand. We have just more than a hand right there. Nice and center mass. The pace is picking up. We're keeping the shot groups tighter than we were with that incorrect grip. We got one more surprise for you. You don't want to miss this. Now just to have a little bit of a twist in here, we got a fresh target up. The next gun we're going to be working with is a big old boy 45. So this is a Smith and Wesson M&P. Not only does it have the lowest bore access of the group of guns we're shooting today, which again, getting a nice good drive on that gun, you can see how much lower that is. It's going to help keep the recoil down too, because you're getting more energy pushing back behind that bore. I mean, if you could hang on to a gun this way, that would probably be the ideal way to do it. So you want to find a gun, ideally, you can get a nice high grip in and keep that center bore nice and low. But this bad mamma jamma is chambered in 45, so that's going to produce a little bit more of an issue for us. So we're going to just go ahead and look at not only a lower bore access, but also a lot bigger caliber, so you guys can't hate on me for only doing this with 9mm guns and 22s and, you know, slingshots and stuff. So 45 ACP scares me a little bit. See how it goes. Good. Pushed a couple just a little bit high. Everything else is planted right inside there. I'm almost sad to say that was probably one of the better full-on speed groups that I shot all day. Pretty much have a fist, and that one flyer got up. I could feel it. I could feel my trigger finger moving before I had the gun driven back to the target. But you can see here that across the board, even with something like a big bad 45, you can control the recoil. You shoot fast with your body. You don't shoot fast with you know, using sights. You don't shoot fast with a traditional grip, if you will. So I mean, get yourself a good grip on that gun, get your body weight behind the gun, and just start off slow, incrementally work your pace up. But bore access has very little to do with the groups that you can produce, the pace you can produce those groups with. Caliber has a lot less of an effect on speed and grouping size when you're appropriately standing behind the gun. Now obviously 45 took me a little bit longer to shoot than 9mm, but I would argue that that's still fairly quick. I'm pleased with that. So thanks for playing. Alright guys, there you have it. I really appreciate the discussion that's been sparked up on our channel over recoil control, and all you guys that pitched in and said, yeah, we want to see this video. We're happy to make videos for you guys if there's something we can custom tailor to questions you have, gear you have, even techniques that you have. And hopefully you guys can take this and it works for you. You know, if it does, send us a quick video of yourself doing it. We want to see you guys control that recoil. We want to see you guys get behind the gun and hopefully take everything that we talked about here today to heart and start shooting faster and tighter groups regardless of what people tell you because of the gun that you shoot. A couple things you probably noticed: I like beaver tails. I like the oversized tangs kind of on the M&P, the Sig 320. The XDM is a little bit crammed with my hand. When I shoot a Glock, I actually get grease marks from the slide moving across this area of my hand right here because Glocks have minimal beaver tails or tang extensions, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, we couldn't get our hands on a Glock for today's purposes, but You know, I mean, I think I can see some faint scarring here actually from coming so far up that I need to back down a little bit. So really get aggressive with that gun, but this also comes into play of what is the gun for? Law enforcement, military, armed responsible citizen. You're gonna have to shoot rounds quickly if you need to shoot that gun at or into someone. So find a gun that fits good in your hand, you can control the recoil with. Caliber doesn't really matter. I'm a big 9mm fan. If you guys want to know why, comment below and I'll make another video talking about that. I'm not gonna get into that right now. But all said and done, at the end of the day, get out, have fun, train, be consistent, whether you're shooting slower or faster. Work that grip every single time and you guys can do it. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video around. It's one of our few offsprings into a kind of an instructional type video. If you guys like it, you think other people might like it, kick it the heck out there and get them watching too. We appreciate all the feedback and all the support. We never quit.